What's good people, and welcome back to the channel here on Crewboy Productions. My name is BK, and this is the Silly, Nerdy, and Wordy podcast, episode number 77. And in this episode, I will be giving my review on the new Fantastic Four First Steps, my nerdy review in this spoiler heavy episode of this new film. And I'll be giving my nerdy notes with some production information. Hope you will join me. What's going on, everyone? Hope everyone is doing very well. Glad to be back doing another episode. And as we move forward here, a big thank you to the subscribers and the new subscribers, as well as the new listeners on Spotify and on all podcast platforms. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. And if you're new here, welcome aboard. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss an upload. And leave a comment. What do you think about the Fantastic Four now being in the MCU? How do you think it's going to happen in terms of what they're going to be like moving forward? And what you thought about this film, your favorite moments, and the post-credit scene? Let me know. And so let's get into this film, and let's start off with the director. The director, his name is Matt Shakman. And his previous projects include mostly TV, but he has worked with Marvel before, as he was the director of all 9 episodes of WandaVision, and that was in 2021. He's also directed 2 episodes of Game of Thrones back in 2017. He's also directed 43 episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia from 2007 to 2017. He has also directed 6 episodes of The Good Wife from 2013 to 2016. And the other previous movie he's directed is called Cut Bank, which was back in 2014. So based off of my research, it seems like this is the second movie that he has directed in addition to the 2014 movie. Now, the cast includes Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Eben Moss-Baccarat, Joseph Quinn, Ralph Ineson, Sarah Niles. And I want to take a beat on Sarah Niles, as this is the 3rd film overall that I have seen her in this summer. The first one was F1, the movie. She played the mother to the rookie driver in that film, which was released on June 27th, 2025. And I then saw her again in Heads of State, as she plays the chief of staff in that Prime Video movie that was released on July 2nd, 2025. And now she is in this movie, Fantastic Four First Steps. So a busy summer and a busy last few years, as I'm sure the filming of all 3 of these movies took place, I'm guessing, either 2023 and or 2024. So busy scheduling and filming for her going between these 3 movies, as they all released within a month of each other. So just wanted to point that out. And let's get into this movie. Overall, I enjoyed the film. I liked it a lot. I think this was a better than solid film. Pacing was pretty good throughout the film. It had a beginning, a middle, and an end. So very well done. And then as we move on, the one thing, I guess the only thing I probably didn't like about it is just at the beginning of the film, we didn't get the opening Marvel panel with the Marvel letters that we normally see in terms of the previous films and projects. So that didn't happen, which was okay, understandably, maybe because this takes place in the 60s, and obviously they are not in the MCU yet, but that was a little disappointment, but that's all right. And then as the movie started, it just got right into it right away. Not too much of opening music or credits. We just got the quick 1960s Fantastic Four logo and the font font and the style, and then just the movie just went right into the scene right away. So that was a different choice for Marvel, and I like how that went on. And then we start right away with finding out the news that Sue Storm is pregnant. And one thing that I liked about that scene, as she is sliding over the test to let Pedro Pascal's character know that she is pregnant, the theme of the Fantastic Four film starts playing right away. And I want to give credit to the composer, which is Michael Giacchino. The theme starts to play very low, very soft, and then it just gradually builds as she slides over the test, as the two of them are talking and their conversation continues and they move around a little bit, but the theme just gradually builds. And I think I hear maybe a guitar, possibly an acoustic guitar, maybe or an electric guitar playing, but the way the theme just started to build overall, just the way it started and the way it ended in that scene, I really enjoyed that. And I just, for the theme itself overall throughout the film, I loved it a lot. Definitely grew on me. It was big, and the big moments slow, and the slow moments and in between, and all of the different types of arrangements that the theme was played. It definitely added and elevated to the film. So definitely enjoyed the theme and the score of this film. And as we move on, the other thing I want to point out in terms of Reed Richards, he had a show called Science with Mr. Fantastic. And on that, he was at the board, at the chalkboard, writing things down. And he mentioned, something to the effect of, hey, we have parallel universes and alternate universes. They're out there. We can prove they exist, as he's writing about it. And I want to bring attention to that because putting that in there plants the seed for them to eventually get out of the 1960s world that they are in and eventually come to the current MCU. How they do that, we don't know how that's going to happen, but you put that piece of information on it. It was very quick. It didn't spend too much time on it. It just moved on from it. But I like how that was just quickly and casually placed in there, and then they just moved on from it. Another thing I liked about it is the opening to this film in terms of how it was set up. I compare it to a little bit of an extent to Superman in terms of how the world was already lived in. We knew everything was established, the relationships, the heroes, the metahumans. And so what they did here in the Fantastic Four movie is a bit of the same thing. They didn't have a crawl, obviously, but everything is already established. It's been 4 years since the Fantastic Four have went to space. So they have went to space and already came back. They have their powers. They are dealing with the consequences of their powers. They have adjusted to it. They know how to use it. They show a montage of what happened and how they were before they went into space and then coming back. So showing Ben Grimm in his human form, and then after dealing with all of that all of that is already established. The world loves them and everything. They seem to be very transparent. And at this time, they are the only heroes in this world. So I liked how that is already established, so we don't have to go through anything. So a great choice in doing that in terms of setting up the world of where we are in this 1960s New York. And then as I move on, the introduction to the Silver Surfer, which was played by Julia Garner, when she comes in and she touches down she comes in, and I like how it started with the camera just starts at the bottom of her surfboard, and then it slowly pans and twisted, almost doing a 180. And then it gets to her eyes, and then she starts talking. So I like the camera work that was done there. And then the monologue comes, but I want to peel the curtain back a little bit and talk about a little bit about how this scene was done from the perspective of the director. And I listen to a lot of podcasts, a lot of sports podcasts, as well as media in terms of film and TV podcasts. And one of them is the official Marvel podcast. And recently I happened to listen to the July 16th episode, and the director, Matt Shakman, was on the podcast. He was promoting and talking about this film. This is prior to the film releasing. And he talked about Julia Garner and how this particular scene was filmed and in terms of what happened. So I want to read this quote. Again, it comes from the director, Matt Shakman, of Fantastic Four First Steps. It was on the official Marvel podcast, which I have linked that link in the description so you can hear the full audio. But what he said is, quote, "I think her first day she showed up and I put her in a motion capture suit with a helmet camera for the first time, which is bizarre. But she being Julia Garner, said, was like, okay. And then I put her in a 40-foot tall lift in front of 400 extras in Times Square, put a microphone on her and said, go ahead and deliver this giant monologue being the Herald of Galactus. And without batting an eye, she just jumped in and took over." End quote. And again, that comes from the director, Matt Shakman, on the official Marvel podcast. So I say all that to say that's how that scene was made. She was very high up. Of course, I'm sure safety was paramount in that, but those are the type of things that I like to hear and see about in terms of how the film is made, with thus getting to the end product. So that was just very cool to learn about and very cool to hear about. And again, I've linked that full audio in the description of this video. And he talked about some other things as well in regards to this film. And let's move on with this spoiler review, as I want to get into some nerdy notes that also continues me talking about this film, but also giving some shout outs to people that were involved in making this film of Fantastic Four. One of the things I mentioned, that this film is set in the 1960s, and I really like the look and the feel and the aesthetic of the way this world was looking in the 1960s. And so the way it looked in the present in the 1960s, but also very futuristic, kind of beyond the 1960s. Two of the people that are involved with doing this, one I want to give a shout out is to the production designer, and his name is Kazura Farani. So the production designer and his team, and I want to shout him out. And what is a production designer? A production designer is the creative head responsible for the overall visual look and feel for film, TV, or theater. And in this case, it's film. They also work closely with the director and the cinematographer. So Kazura Farani, want to give you a shout out. Great job on the look and design overall of this world that the Fantastic Four is in. And the previous projects that he has worked on, he worked on both Loki season 1 and season 2. So that was his work that we see the look and feel of Loki season 1 and season 2 back in 2021 and 2023. He also worked in Alice in Wonderland in 2010. He was working in the art department there. And then the movie 3:10 to Yuma, he was working in the art department there as well. And then lastly, the Prime Video film Bliss back in 2021. He was the production designer for that film. Another person from the art and production team is the set decorator, and that is Jill Aziz. And she was the set decorator here on the Fantastic Four First Steps. Her role is a key member of the art department, responsible for furnishing and dressing the sets to create the desired atmosphere and visual style established by the production designer. So she works hand in hand with the production designer. And her previous projects include Loki season 2. She was a set decorator. She also worked on Gladiator 2, the 2024 film. She also worked on Mission Impossible Fallout, that was the 2018 film. And she worked on the first original The Old Guard back in 2020. She was the set decorator for that film. So just wanted to again shout out the production designer and the set decorator. Production designer being Kazara Farani, set decorator Jill Aziz. Great job to both of them. As we move along, there is one thing that I wanted to point out that I believe was not in this film, that wasn't a trailer. And sometimes you see in trailers, you see certain shots of things or certain lines that are in the trailer, and ultimately they don't end up being in the movie. Maybe it's a misdirect, maybe it's not. But for instance, the film Infinity War, we see the Hulk running as the Hulk himself in full green at the and in that trailer. But when we see the actual movie, we don't see him doing that. We see him in the Hulkbuster suit. And so in this film, back in the April trailer, which was the first full trailer for Fantastic Four First Steps, there is a line that Reed Richards says to Sue Storm, and he says, quote, "It's my fault. I stretched the bounds of space and they heard." Now, end quote. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I don't remember Reed saying that line to Sue Storm. I don't believe so, but I'll have to see it again, which I probably will. But that's just one thing that I noticed that was not in the film, that was in the trailer. But again, that does happen from time to time. And then moving on, in terms of the decision to go to space, go to Galactus to face him after they received this threat, an interesting choice to go and do that, to try to face him and then possibly negotiate. And that doesn't go well. And then they are running, trying to get out of there, get back to Earth. And when they go to Earth, when they go to face them, Sue is obviously pregnant. She's further along. But as they're returning back and facing all this adversity, trying to escape the Silver Surfer, the writers and directors have the choice of her having the baby while while they're in space, while they're trying to get back, while all these dangerous things are happening. So that was an interesting choice that happened there. And then moving on to just getting to the end of the film, we see all of their powers used throughout the film. And for me, it seems like Sue Storm is the most powerful one out of all four of them. And that is displayed towards the end as she is pushing Galactus all on her own towards the zone where they have set up to turn their machine on to get him into that black hole. And then she does push him in there, and they have the choice of what we think that Sue she dies. And as she was dead there at that point, I was thinking to myself, they got this great actress to come in and do this, and she's only in there for one movie and they kill her off. I was like, why would you do that? I don't agree with that. But then we see baby Franklin come and bring Sue Storm back to life. So he's very powerful. It'll be interesting to see how he is going to be moving forward in the MCU. But that was a interesting and fun choice, I would say. And then also the moments when she was dead, the theater I was in was very silent, very quiet. So that was a pretty cool moment, so to speak. And then in terms of the post-credit scenes, there are two post-credit scenes. The one at the very, very end, that is just a Fantastic Four cartoon. And then the mid-credit scene, we get a tease of Doctor Doom as Vanessa Kirby's character is reading the book to baby Franklin. They finish a book. She goes and gets another book, comes back, and as she's walking back, we hear a shift in the tone in terms of a little dark, dim music. And then we see Doctor Doom down on one knee with the helmet off, but the helmet is facing us, facing the camera, but we don't see his face. But Franklin sees his face, and then that's the end of the scene. It's just a short, quick tease, and I thought that was very well done. We don't need to see a lot. We don't even need to hear him because we know he's going to be coming because of Avengers Doomsday, which is going to be in December 2026. So I like how that was done. Didn't need a whole lot for him. So we'll see how they are going to be getting out of that universe and into the current MCU. So it'll be interesting to see. We didn't see the post-credit scene from Thunderbolts pay off in this one because obviously they're not in the ship going towards the Earth's atmosphere as Yelena saw that in Thunderbolts. So we'll have to wait and see how that meeting occurs. And of course, how do they get out of that Earth? Another thing is now that we have Reed Richards in this, we now have a couple of really smart people in the MCU added to. And in my opinion, we have Riri Williams, we have Shuri, we have Bruce Banner, and now we have Reed Richards. Those are, for me, at least those what I can think of, the four smartest minds in the MCU, and at least until the X-Men are introduced. Then we have Dr. Hank McCoy and Dr. Charles Xavier and many others, but right now, before the X-Men come in, those are the four smartest minds in the MCU. And if I'm missing someone, correct me in the comments. And another thing I mentioned, I want to point out attention to is whenever we see news clippings, especially at the beginning, we see ABC come in there. And that's a very logical and a very smart and strategic thing to leverage because ABC is owned by Disney. This Fantastic Four film is ultimately a Disney film because Marvel is under Disney. Disney owns all of it. And so ABC is the parent company of Disney. So being able to use that, probably didn't have to pay too much money or maybe no money at all to use the ABC logo and graphics. So very smart and logical and business financial sense to do that. So just a small thing I wanted to point out there. Overall, I really enjoyed the movie. As I said, it's definitely Blu-ray worthy. Can't wait to watch it again and see the production things in terms of how this was made. And other things I wanted to say about it, Galactus, in terms of the way he looked on screen, I liked how his presence had a great presence in terms of the character as well as the voice. So definitely enjoyed the performance there by Innocent, the actor that portrayed him. So well done by him. Definitely liked that. Just seeing Galactus on screen for the first time. It's just really, really cool to see. I think that is going to be all I have to say about this film. And hope I was able to provide some value to you. Hope you learned something new or were entertained. But subscribe to the channel here, leave a like, and let me know what you think in the comments here about this film. Are you excited about this film? Will you be seeing it? What did you think about the Doctor Doom post-credit scene? And let me know your thoughts. Subscribe, leave a comment, leave a review. Follow if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Podbean or YouTube Music, wherever you get your podcasts. You can certainly listen as well. Thank you for joining me. And that is all I'm going to have for you today. So until next time, we will talk soon.